Hello everyone and good day and welcome to this video by Krishimmigration Consulting. I'm Sridhar, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and I'm bringing this video to answer a few questions about the study permit application, especially for individuals who are living outside Canada. I've made a few other videos in this series. One is whether you should choose the SDS versus the regular stream. The other video is whether what are the requirements that you need to fulfill. So let's dive right in, and the first thing you do is find your study permit guide. The guide basically is an instruction manual. It gives you a lot of information about your study permit application, if you're whether you're applying alone or you're applying with a family member, whether you're applying with a wife. So it gives a range of information on what you need to do. It also tells you what forms to fill. It also tells you how to fill out those forms, and so on and so forth. So one of the first steps you may want to do is read through the guide. That should answer most of your questions. If you have further questions very specific to your case, you can always approach people like me, and then we'll be able to help you through navigate through those questions. So one thing you can do is just type study permit guide, and that will bring up guide 5269 and it says applying for a study permit outside Canada, right? That's one of the first things you need to do. And so once you click on guide 5269 applying for a study permit outside Canada, you will see the contents, the table of contents. You can choose to read all the information given here. That would be my suggestion before you apply. Or if you have only specific questions, whether it's about gathering the documents, whether it's completing the application or paying the fees, whether you have specific questions or you have a lot of questions, you can read this guide, and to a great extent I feel a lot of your questions will be answered in this guide. Now there is, when you look at gather your documents, when you click here, it will bring you to this document checklist, right? I have this checklist open here. It's basically IMM 5269. It's that's the guide, and from there you can pick this checklist, which is IMM 5483. Basically, you can look at the document checklist for a study permit. There are two checklists. Basically, they both are the same. In essence, they both are the same. One is where if you're applying online, right, which is the case in with most of the people nowadays. You apply online and you try and look at collecting the documents for an online application. If you're planning to do that, my suggestion is you go as per the checklist given in the online application. So basically, you create your GC key. Once you create your GC key, you say you want to apply for a study permit, and once you say you want to apply for a study permit, they ask you a set of questions. Once you answer those questions, the next screen is basically a checklist. It's a checklist with an upload button to the right. Basically, they're telling you these are the documents we require, and that's at least you know the basic documents that are required. Apart from that, there are many additional documents that you can attach to the client info tab that is there in the online checklist. So this is that could be one of the things you could do once you create your online account. But before that, if you just want something to refer to, this is a good place to start. What are they saying? The first thing is IMM 1294. That's your study permit application made outside of Canada. The second is they want a 5645 in some cases. They give out the 5645. In some cases, the system determines a 5707, IMM 5707, and it's determined by the system. So it makes more sense to first create your GC key and see which form is out there before you fill out these forms. So it's a toss-up between 5645 family information form and 5707, which is also a family information form. Statutory requirement: if it's a common law union, what is common law? I'll not get into that right now, but if your relationship is a common law union, then we need to fill out this form. It's not applicable for everybody, obviously, but if it is applicable in your case, you need to fill this out. If you're using a representative, right? Who is a representative? A member of CICC, like me, who calls himself or herself RCIC, a lawyer. In few cases, in few provinces, even paralegals are allowed. The IRCC has specific information about who is a representative. So if the person you're working with falls under these 3-4 categories, then you need to fill out the 5476 in order for them to have access to your file. So that's another way, a filter for you to find out if the person who's applying for your visa is an authorized agent or not. The next is custodianship declaration. That's for minor students under the age of 17. It's a must. So again, if it's applicable in your case, that form comes to you. In some cases, I've seen the IMM 5257B_1, right? Application again for a visa outside Canada. That's another form. It's not in this list, but if you do create your online account, and if you're from India, I have seen that a lot more come for people from India, where the visa stamp on your passport is a requirement. So if that's again applicable to you, you may want to fill out that. They're saying the fee payment in an applicable format, 2 ways again. You pay the fees, have a receipt, and upload that. That happens if it's an offline or an application through the WAC. But if you do it online, then the last step in the process is the visa, the payment for the application. So it's an automated system. If you're applying online, it takes you one step after the other and leads you to that final fee payment page. And once you make that fee payment, your application gets submitted to IRCC. So this may not be applicable to you. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. And then the photocopy of the information page of your valid passport. I normally like to include your passport biographical pages, and this is my way of doing things. Everybody is different, they do things differently. My way is, I like to include the biographical pages, I like to include the visa pages, the entry exit pages, especially if you have visited advanced countries like the United States, UK, Australia, New Zealand, any of these countries, European nations. I normally like to send those stamps so that the visa officer knows you have traveled, you have adhered to the rules. That's just my way of letting them know, right? So it doesn't hurt if you send in few extra documents. It doesn't hurt your case. 2 photos. The meeting the requirements is very, very important. So again, on the checklist, the online checklist, you may have the link. If you're using the offline process, you may want to click on this link and see the exact specifications of the photo. Very soon I'm going to make a video on this as well, the photo specifications, what you need to do if it's a temporary resident visa, what you need to do, what are the instructions you need to follow if it's a permanent resident visa. So look out for that. Again, biometrics, fingerprints. Normally in a study permit application, the biometric request comes after the application, so it's not required. Letter of acceptance, you need to give the letter of acceptance that you got from the designated learning institution. In case you are applying to Quebec, there's one additional step which we will obviously talk about in another video. I cannot go in detail, but that approval of the CAQ, it's called the CAQ, that approval letter, sometimes in rare cases even the application, if you just received your LOA and the timelines for the study permit is very high, then sometimes even the application, the proof that you have applied for CAQ and you have done your bit is enough. But do not take my word for it. Do look out for the pages of the IRCC query pages, Q&As. Depending on when you're applying for your visa, things might have changed. So please look at recent instructions. Generally, the approval letter is what we apply with. We plan things in such a way that you have enough time to apply for the CAQ and have the approval letter in your hand and then apply to our IRCC. That would be the most ideal way to do it. Proof of financial support, SDS, you may not need to show so much proof. I normally like to still let the officer know that there are enough funds. If it's a 2-year program, then I still like to let the officer know that there's sufficient funds for the second year. But have I heard people not giving them the plan for the second year and still getting the visa? Yes, I have. But my way of doing it would still be to give them paperwork towards the second year. If it's a 2-year course, 3-year course, 4-year course, I like to provide them with more information about the fact that the financials are okay and you'll be able to support yourself. For photocopy of your marriage license, yes, if you're married, you may want to include that, and any other required document. One thing that they have missed out, and I've heard many cases, coming after a reject to me and saying there was nothing on the checklist which said that I have to submit a study plan, right? So I did not include one. That's a very regular conversation I've had, and that's a major mistake because when you apply as a student, the onus is on you to prove it to the officer that your intent is real, that the course you are selecting is the most appropriate one, it's the right one for you. There is a connection between your goals and the course that you have chosen. There's a connection between your past education and the course you have chosen. So basically you have to establish that link as to where you are, where you want to reach, and how this course is going to help you reach there. The bona fides of a student has to come across clearly. The officer has to be convinced of 2-3 things. One, that your past educational record is good. Two, that there's a link between your past educational record and the course you're going for. Three, that your goals are aligned to the program you're undertaking. It's not way off from, suppose you want to become an IT engineer and you're taking a business program, right? So the goals are aligned. This is total disalignment. So you have to prove it through your letter that your goals are aligned. And your choice of course is very important as well. So you've got to prove it to the officer why you chose that course. And finally, you have the monies to pay for the course. One small thing you may always hear in these forums is, people get rejected on the basis of, that the officer is not convinced that you will leave Canada. How do you convince them that you will leave Canada? Exactly what I said: choosing the right course, showing them the right intent, showing them that you're a bona fide student, and so on and so forth, and that you have the money to settle. And obviously, you have enough socio-economic. I call it socio-economic. A lot of people say it's just social, but I say it has to be socio-economic, that you have a good emotional and financial setup back home, and you have enough reasons to come back. That's what you got to prove it to the officer. So I hope this video has helped you. I really wish you all the very best. If you need help with the student permit application, I'm always there. I could do case-specific consultation, so you can book my time for half an hour, 1 hour, ask your questions, and do the application yourself. I don't check your documents on those calls because it would take me a lot more than 1 hour to check your documents. If I find that a document is not right, then we get into those discussions, and it takes a lot more time than that half an hour or 1 hour call that you book me for. But the one way is, if you have specific questions, question answer session can happen over a consultation. If you need more help, you have specific problems, you have problems aligning your goals, you need help with writing your SOP, you need help with filing for your study permit, I'm always there to help. You can contact me. I'm going to leave the description, my email ID, my website URL, everything in the description below in the video. Take care and have a good day.